headline has to do with the numbers for voter registration. We are in week 2, and of course the IEBC gave an update yesterday. We'll be looking at those numbers in a short while, and we'll even go to your specific counties to see how well you're doing. But quick run through the dailies. And on the Standard, team of 12 secretly crafts NASA power rules. Now, at least that's not anything we were expecting this morning. It's something interesting, and I'll be seeking your views on that as well. Another interesting headline, apart from the voter registration, is on the Daily Nation. I think it's also on the Standard on the front page, and Kenya is buying warplanes from the US. How about that? We're buying more planes at this day and age from the US. I don't know if this is a priority at this time. We're in an election year. How much of this is a priority? For you as members of parliament, you'll need to tell us that. And of course, Central leads in new voters drive. That's on the front page of the Daily Nation. That has huge political implications, and of course it should worry some sections, especially in opposition strongholds. The splash on the Daily Nation, Raila Uhuru clash over rigging claims. Of course, it still has to do with the numbers for voter registration. But before we get to that, there's a story that I want us to look at, a light one, on page 2 of the Standard. Amara's teacher whipped for defiling 3 pupils. Police in Eldoret have arrested a teacher for allegedly defiling 3 girls in Chepkoilel. Residents, including a village elder, had stormed the suspect's house after the minors disclosed this, that the man had repeatedly defiled them in a maize plantation, and they whipped him publicly. I don't know what you have to say about this, because defilement and abuse of minors, sexual abuse is something I know is very close to a lot of women legislators, and surely when we see such things, police came in later. But the first remedy was to whip the suspect, and many of these suspects actually, after such whipping or any other kind of punishment meted out by the public, go scot-free.
They probably didn't go far enough. They forgot they should have probably dismembered him for that kind of action on such young girls. It is a big problem, especially in all communities around the country. When you take a look at the number of cases that are before TSC and what are their actions, I think it's dismal. They have a dismal record. Whenever things like this should happen, these teachers should be immediately dismissed, and not only dismissed, they should have a roster of every single one of those who have been accused of defilement, a register, a public registry, so that these people don't go on to other areas and do the same to other children. And I think that is probably something CS Matiang'i or Ms. Macharia should ensure they take a look and take up, so that they ensure that we are able to protect our children. We put these teachers in a position of authority over our children, but some of them unfortunately use that opportunity to make wives out of our children.
And perhaps the punishment, even after you're arrested and taken to police, even through the court process, is not as harsh, and some of these predators still get back to schools as teachers.
Yeah, I think in my view, it shows how rotten our society is. It's not about the teachers alone. These things are happening in our homes. Our own the fathers are defiling their own children. So it's a big rot that should be looked into in a very, very serious way. I was in the rural in Kisumu County and doing this violence against women, and we got shocking news about what's going on. So it's not about the teachers and these pupils. That is very bad, and you know the government can take action. But still, you realize that once somebody is taken and they are put in, within a very short time they are out again doing the same acts, and on top of that, the parents are also colluding with the same people. With very little bribes.
Yes.
So it shows the rot that we have in the society, and in my view, we should look at the society in as a whole.
Yes, as Rose Nyamunga rightly put it, we've seen a number of cases where even after the suspect is caught, the kind of punishment, he's fined even as little as 2,000 shillings and is let to go.
Yeah, personally I condemn the act by the teacher and any other person who is engaged in defilement. But what the elders did actually is a good thing. You know, initially and traditionally, we've always had the traditional justice system where persons will be punished within the society. With that has gotten eroded in the course of time. But I'm glad that it's happening again. But we also know
public
that...
training?
Yes, it is very good. Actually, that is the way to go. But we also know that when these persons are arrested and taken to court, there is a disconnect between the police in terms of investigations and also the courts in as far as the evidence is concerned, because when one has been charged with defilement, it's a criminal offense, and in criminal cases you must prove beyond reasonable doubt that this kind of crime was committed. But we find, like in most cases, there is no proper evidence collected by the police. Then there are no witnesses, because in most cases of defilement or rape, it's just the suspect and the victim. So when they go to court, they are not able to tender that evidence that the magistrate or the judge requires to be able to convict that person. But the law is there. It's not that the law is not there. We have the Sexual Offences Act that was passed during the time of Joki Dongo, the Supreme Court judge now. We also have the Children's Act. So it's not for lack of the laws. The laws are there. It's the manner in which we gather our evidence, the manner in which we present that evidence before the magistrates, and the way the judges are supposed to take it up and condemn, and then of course jail this person. So there is that disconnect that we should take care of. But also the Teacher Service Commission must be able to deal with this teacher. Immediate termination of his services, so that now in the community he doesn't have to be able to reach these children ever again, because defilement of so many children, not just one, so many.
This one has three, and I think those lying next to him are his victims, 3 girls.
Yes.
In the same photograph.
It's brutal. It's very brutal.
Yes.
And I hope that the community will go far and ensure that this person is taken to court, and the TSC takes its the necessary action.
Yes. And also, just to add briefly on that, if you look at our rural setups, so many people are still not sensitized enough to take all these cases to court. First of all, they are saying it is very expensive, it is time consuming, and it takes forever for the cases to be decided. So that by the time the case is decided, so many other crimes have already been committed again. So our justice system, much as I think in Parliament we've also passed that we should have courts within the locals, at the ward level, all sub-counties. It is very important that is reinforced. I think we pass very good laws, but the problem that we have is enforcement, and then the enforcement of the laws that we put in place.
Do you think this is probably an indictment to the slow process of our justice system, that probably the public are feeling that if we go the court way, it will take forever? Let's just mete out some quick fix justice to these individuals right here. Should it probably be encouraged?
I believe so. It's something that needs to be addressed. You know, justice delayed is justice denied. And if the court process will be too long and expensive, it needs to be meted swiftly on the ground, exactly where it's happening, so that it serves as a deterrent to other members within the community, and it shows that that activity is unacceptable. And it's important that not only does this happen, but it should go to a certain level where he should have been beaten, probably senseless, because you know, we really need to take this and dismembered, because there are some cases that we have to agree that this is enough and enough is enough. But Mheshimiwa, you touched on something that I think is very critical: collection of evidence. And you know, we accept into the police
the electoral
forces
body shows i.e. the listed booth.
People with a D plus, or is it D plain, or whatever it is, and then we expect them to procure for us evidence that the DPP will be able to use to conclusively enforce judgment on a particular case.
Because
but the data collection,
quite a number of these cases are usually thrown out because of lack of evidence. Yes.
Correct. And not just that. And I think if you remember, there was a time when even the president asked, "What do you want me to do?" If you present evidence that cannot be prosecuted, there comes a point where we have to start asking our institutions, and that is one department within the police force that I think clearly has given us significant problems, because you look at the, it's the same issue with the traffic police, it's the same issue with the DCIOs, data collection. You hear them making statements on TV that they died instantly, and then they were taken to hospital where they are receiving further treatment. After dying. And these are people who are supposed to be writing down what evidence is supposed to be collected. If that is the level of investigation or work that is being given, and this is the face of of the people that you're going to report your issues to, so that those people can be prosecuted, it clearly shows there needs to be a complete overhaul. I don't know if we need to take Matiang'i there to that particular department to completely overhaul some of those things, because if we're going to move forward.
Once Matiang'i works well in the education ministry, you move him somewhere else. It probably works better, but then you lose it in the education sector.
But it just shows that clearly we need to address those particular issues.
Yes. Let's now take a look at the other headline, and away from, because I don't want us to touch on the numbers yet, the other interesting headline here is about the warplanes from the US. And Kenya is about to spend 41.8 billion shillings buying warplanes, and everyone will be wondering, at this day and age when doctors are on strike, we have an election coming, are we at war? Because that's probably the one question that comes to mind. Why are we then focusing? Why are we buying warplanes so expensively at a day and age when diplomacy is working best? Let's start with the...
In my view, not only about the warplanes. Not long ago, I think last week, the president was flagging of so many police vehicles. And looking at it, and then elections are also coming in, you are left wondering, what are all these vehicles? Okay, they could be for security, real security. But then, looking at it again, you can also see that there could be more to it than just the security of the nation. As it is, I think Kenya should be secure enough, because we've had a lot of backings from the international community, the Americans. There's a lot of security that we can say. To some extent, it's not as bad as it was like 2-3 years ago. So I don't think that it is very, very prudent for us, and taking into account right now where the country, where we are at, looking at the drought situation. When people see warplanes and they're looking at people in Turkana, the water scarcity, the situation in the country, there are some issues that the government should be looking into as a matter of priority as compared to the warplanes. Maybe the plans were done a long time ago. I don't know when they did the agreements and when they were purchased. Maybe they're just landing now, and maybe they were doing it at such a time, the time when we were so insecure as a nation. That could be it. But now bringing it right now, when we have tricky issues, very tricky issues, I think that one is a bit of a blow to our security, to a blow to the government, and it is not in the best interest of the nation as at now.
Yes, Florence Kajuju, of course, the government has a responsibility to secure the country. We are not saying that they should not be doing this, but having this on the headline, on the front page of the dailies, at a time when the doctors are on strike, there's a drought crisis, there's an election, voter registration is much bigger, having this on the front page of the Daily Nation, having a full page on the Standard, it actually sends a very wrong message,
First of all,
or rather misplaced, not wrong message, but maybe misplaced message.
Having it on the papers, that shows what the papers consider to be their priority, or what they believe is news. But Kenyans tend to forget very fast. Just a few years ago, actually not years, I think 1 year ago, we were crying that the state is not taking care of its citizens. And even the president and of course Parliament were trying to amend the security laws to ensure that we are able to put our house in order in as far as security is concerned. That time, when Al-Shabaab was trying to infiltrate Kenya and was messing us up, people were blaming the president, saying that the president is doing enough to ensure that the citizens are safe. So this is one of the things that the president, as the end of state, is doing. This is not a plan that was made yesterday. For it to have come here, it goes through a process. there are several agreements that must be signed. There must be an agreement on how the payment will be made. So it's not a yesterday's affair. This is something that has been going on in the country. It doesn't mean just because we are going into an election, just because we are doing voter registration, security now takes a backseat. The first and foremost thing that Kenya as a country must take care of is security, because we know that when there are issues of maybe elections, so people take advantage. Those who instantly and all the time wants to interfere with this country, our country. So that cannot take a backseat, and it should be blamed on the president if we was to allow that to happen. So according to me, this is something that has been going on, and now it has come. It doesn't mean that we stop it. We continue with the elections. In any event, my friend here, she's even a lawyer, knows that devolution took place. Water is not a priority for the national government. Water and the money that is supposed to be spent is with the counties. The counties, we should be asking how much have the counties done in terms of water provision. When it comes to food, the state is importing food, so because of the drought that is happening, because we could not get enough food in the country. So if the Ministry of Devolution is taking care of the drought concerns in the country, if the devolution is supposed to take care of water issues, the security of the nation lies with the president, and he's taking care of it.
But,
so to me, it's not something that is awkward.
Politics is about perception.
It's about perception, yes.
Matter.
And looking at it now, you cannot say that some of these things were devolved. Medical, health was devolved, water was devolved. This is now a national crisis, and it is coming under unforeseen circumstances. Nobody knew that we are going to have this magnitude of drought, that something should be done. So much as these things have been devolved, when it comes to national crisis, definitely the government is expected to come out and come in the forefront and make sure that we have enough water, we have enough food, and animals are not dying. So that is still, Kenya is still one and still under one president. So you cannot say this is devolved, now people are dying there, I don't care, there is water, there's drought there. No, it's still Kenya. Security is of course of a lot of concern to us, and any other issue. But then public perception, what is going on in people's mind right now? Is it the warplane, or is it the water? Is it the teachers? Is it the doctors? Is it about the strike?
And to Mheshimiwa, of course, then it means that the government needs to do something to manage public perceptions. It could be necessary to get the planes, but in an election year, the president seeking re-election, surely you do not want any misplaced messages. You should probably, because he has enough PR machinery with him, probably they should be trying to explain to Kenyans why exactly we need this kinds of firepower.
Well, first of all, I want to take us back to the time when we had C.S. Lenku, Minister. Yes. I think we had an Al-Shabaab attack every single week. Every 2 weeks, Kenyans lived in fear. Since we had a change of command within that ministry and within the changeover in the military, I think the security of the country has been to a level where people are very comfortable walking around that city. In fact, at that point in time, I used to go to Nakumatt for 5 minutes. It was get what you want and run. And I think the whole nation was at that level. But now that things have stabilized, nobody remembers that, that we actually lived in a time where people were so fearful in this country that they could not afford to even be out in public. There was messages all the time, do not go in public gatherings, where in crowds, in malls. And now we can easily be out walking, doing our rallies, doing our activities. No, I want you to take your mind back, because it's easy to forget that. Right now, we have various crises. There's water. The government has come in and they're going to purchase all of the animals that are in Northeastern, and they are going to be used to feed the people in those areas, right? Is that not management of those crises? In terms of water, the drought is a natural disaster. It's not something that you can tell the president it didn't rain. Why didn't it rain? It's really beyond his control. When it comes to the issue, no, I didn't interrupt you when you were talking. When it comes to the issue of the doctors and now the teachers, a lot of these activities, and we need to actually be honest with ourselves. when we start putting some of these things on the media, some of it is stage managed to bring in a certain perception that, oh, this is only the priority of the government. When we take a look at
when
even
you say stage managed, now that you said it's stage managed, who are you guys accusing of stage managing this?
I'm not sure. Maybe we need to look at the media houses. But let's take a look at
really?
At the issue.
Even the Standard has it here. The Nation has it on the
it will be there. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing with the issue of the strikes, the doctor strikes. We want to take on the teacher strikes. It's actually, those are plans aimed at ensuring that we paralyze the government and government operations, so the government looks like it's incompetent. The issue of now university lecturers going on strike because of the scrutiny that is coming in. Remember when the teachers were on strike because schools were being burnt and all of that, and the cartels that were being fixed by Matiang'i, when they handled all of that, they pulled out all the air of the crisis that was within the education sector. So when we take a look at some of these, I don't think that we need to minimize the issue in terms of the security of Kenya.
But that is at this level where we all understand the needs of the country, probably even in terms of security. But for the Mwananchi down there, who's
right, I think you should let me finish my statement.
No, because we need to move on with this discussion.
I agree.
As well.
I agree. But what I'm saying is this: the time that Kenya is most insecure is especially during election time. Why? People are not vigilant in terms of what is going on around. The warmongering that is going on at the counties. We have 47 governors who believe they're little kings within their own sectors, and they don't want any other opposition coming in. If you take a look at the turf wars that are going on, in fact, those police cars, we need to actually ensure that the process of enforcement of law will happen very swiftly, because we could have a bloodbath and people will die when it comes to some of the issues of election.
Sorry, but I have to interrupt you there, because surely there must be a difference between police vehicles that were flagged off last week by the president, which handle internal security, and warplanes, which are to attack external forces.
Of course. Do you not know that we are at war? Do you not know that probably about a year ago, our soldiers were massacred in Somalia? Do you not understand that we are the safety net within the whole Horn of Africa region? The issue of our security as a country and the destabilization that goes on within Somalia. If you take a look at, you know, maybe what they should have been putting on here is how many Al-Shabaab have been killed trying to get into Kenya. How many of those have been used, those networks trying to come into here.
But you didn't answer me about the government and its communication mechanism. Because if the government feels that this is probably top priority right now, or rather something important that needs to be done right now, it is an election year. And we're not just accusing the president and faulting him and saying you shouldn't do this, but he is seeking re-election. Yes, he's supposed to convince the electorate that what I'm doing is for your good. But we're not seeing that. In an election year, there's no front page here. We can't see any drought. We're not seeing anything to do with drought. We're not seeing anything to do with the doctor's crisis. We're not seeing anything to do with the lecturer's crisis. We're just seeing warplanes being bought. Let me give you a chance.
Now, I think the right things are not being put on the front line because it is a failure on the management of the nation. If you look at the drought,
you agree with that?
With proper management, we should not be suffering the way we are suffering. Because when it rains and there's a lot of water. So in my view, I think the Ministry of Water, the Department of Water is not doing its work, because drought by now, because it's something that has gone on year in, year out. We should do something about catching water, doing the dams, proper dams where we can hold the water. Now there is rationing in Nairobi. There is no food all over. Look at Turkana. In fact, you can't believe that Turkana is part of Kenya. And look at the opportunities that we have in terms of irrigation, in terms of drilling boreholes and doing dams. So this is the failure, and that's why you cannot see the failure coming in the front line. And you see misplaced things like the warplanes coming on the front line. So there is a general mismanagement of Kenya and the resources that we have.
Okay, let's focus this discussion about the communication.
Mheshimiwa is forgetting that when there was this Muranga issue of the tunnel, the water tunnel that is being constructed by the government, the first person to condemn it was the leadership of CORD family. They were saying that that should not happen. Yet the president and his government are planning planning on how to supply water to other areas. So they, on one hand, they are condemning what the government is doing. They don't want to see anything good. But when it's trying to supply water and ensure that Kenya is safe, then they start condemning. You can never make these people happy.
How you do it. Why should not have a dam? A dam that will catch, which will catch freely flowing water instead of going under the mountain where is a reservoir.
Yes.
So that is how you do it. That matters.
And let's agree. It is an election year. Perceptions do matter. The opposition will never keep quiet about anything in government, and their job is not
good or bad. That's how
we are doing a perfect job. We are doing a perfect.
We don't really expect them to applaud the government every single day.
But they can't complain permanently.
But when the government does something good, then it's up to the government to communicate to the electorate and say we've done this because of this, and convince the people as well.
Don't forget, there is a freedom of the media. The media has the right to splash what they think sells. So you can't tell government to dictate to either the nation or the Standard what to put on the front page. So it's up to them.
So you agree probably the warplanes should not have come on the front page?
It's up to the media. I cannot choose for them.
If you are the editor, would you put the warplanes?
I'm a lawyer. I'm not an editor. So
if you were, hypothetically, if you were given an opportunity to arrange this page, would you put the warplanes on the front page of the Daily Nation?
There are so many things that they normally put on the front page that, according to me, they should not be on the front page.
And this is one of them, probably.
Security to me is a major concern. So I wouldn't say that they shouldn't put it.
Correct.
But it's the way people view it. That
remember, it's also a matter of picking out issues that think that they will sell. As a member of the Defense Committee, the process of upgrading of the military, we need to ask, okay, how many actually of the planes did we have that were working?
Yes.
You'd be shocked. And maybe that is the background that needs to be given against this. And you'd be shocked that there are very few of them that are actually working, and we need these airplanes as a matter of urgency in order to do our border protection.
Now, you say you're in the Defense Committee, so you do agree that some of this information is not out in the public. We do not know how well equipped our military is in terms of warplanes, and probably why we need
so that Al-Shabaab will know what it is that we have. So we are not going to do that.
Do we need a plane like this of this magnitude for just a border protection?
Really? Do you know the operations of Al-Shabaab and what the extent is?
I think
maybe she knows.
No. Defense Committee, so probably
she knows. No, how she knows?
So that we can agree that I don't think it's misplaced. I think it's important, and the protection of all Kenyans. And for the whole country to be secure. We are not going to allow insurgents and terrorists. If you take a look at what was happening even within Europe and their incursion and the extent of the damage that they caused, I think in October, November, you would be happy that we are able to keep our borders secure. And we would want their activities to continue. Maybe the issue is that people are like, oh my God, you mean this is what is happening? But maybe the story should be where we are at in terms of our equipment and why we need to scale up, because the question is, we are at war. We are a country at war, but Kenyans, we love our lifestyle so much. We live like we are not at war.
We do not consider
that we are at war. But some of the defense information cannot be shared with everybody.
We do understand that as well.